Welcome to View from the Top. I'm David Wohl here with Richard Henson, CEO of Source Scientific. Richard, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
What is the core business right now of Source Scientific?
We work with client companies to produce these large, complex instruments that you see in blood testing laboratories and in surgery suites and sometimes in doctors' offices, things that are more complex than most companies are able to produce.
What about the history of Source Scientific? Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, we founded the company by working with a clinical chemistry company who had developed some new state-of-the-art chemistries and didn't have the kind of specialized instrumentation that it took to run those chemistries in the lab.
We talked earlier about the machines that you see in the CSI programs. I mean, the blood analysis machines, that kind of thing?
That's right. Blood analysis is a big area of ours. We make design and manufacture systems for the clinical chemistry market, as well as other therapeutic and diagnostic types of technologies.
What right now is changing in medical instrumentation?
Medical instrumentation is getting more complex, and all the different competencies that you need to create these complex systems are getting harder to do. So companies look to us, our clients look to us, to provide all those resources.
Rich, what about your workforce? You've got some huge brain power behind manufacturing these highly technical instruments. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, it requires people who are experts in electronics, software, optics, mechanical engineering, design, and we're really fortunate that here in Southern California, and in particular Orange County, California, that there's a huge pool of talent. There's so many different companies here to draw from, and a lot of people with these talents are living right here. So that makes Southern California quite a focus for instrument development.
How has the obvious downturn in the economy affected Source Scientific?
Well, it makes it a lot more work than it was before. There's a lot of pressure on cost. A lot of people observe that people are still getting sick and still need procedures, but there's a lot of downward pressure that causes our clients to try to save on the expenses and make things more efficient.
How does the concept of virtual companies interface with Source Scientific?
The concept of virtual companies means that you go outsourcing for a lot of the competencies you need to run your business, and we're an extension of that. So we have the complete engineering resources and manufacturing resources for companies that have other core competencies. If that company is a chemistry company, their focus is on chemistry. If you're a company like Edwards, for example, whose competence is in heart valves, you don't want to create an engineering department that's not really part of your core business.
The life science companies that utilize your services, I mean, how exactly does it work?
Well, they'll approach us. They have an idea for a product that they want to market. Usually they have some kind of a consumable, for example, a chemistry, and they come to us with the need for an instrument that will go with those chemistries. It's a lot like the razor and razor blade model that you hear about. They'll come to us and they'll specify what they need out of an instrument. We'll do all the engineering and then we'll do the manufacturing for them, and then that way they can take their product to market.
Rich, right now the FDA and the regulatory climate is risk averse. How does that affect your business?
The FDA is in a tough position. It's actually harder to deal with the FDA, but that's part of the reason of that is that the FDA has two opposing mandates. One is to protect the public, and the other one is to help companies get their technologies out to the public as soon as possible. So it requires a lot more expertise to deal with the FDA and solve the problems in getting products approved.
Where do you see the life science industry going in the next 5 to 10 years, and how does Source Scientific fit into the picture?
A lot of life science companies are focusing on a lot of new and emerging technologies, and we see ourselves as a way to support those technology with our business model of outsourced product development and manufacturing. And in the future, this is a trend that we see will continue. It gets harder and harder to develop these with new technologies and a more complex regulatory environment.
Richard Henson, CEO of Source Scientific, thanks so much for joining us this week. We'll see you next time on View from the Top.